round 2. I'm gonna persuade ya. Let's talk about food. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. My name's Kimberly Rodriguez. Doing a speech, persuasive speech on. Do I reveal the title beforehand or? I don't even know. I'm just gonna go for it. So food. Let's talk about food. I bet if you're anything like me, your eyes lit up at the word food. As you know, there are many different eating habits. I'm sure we all didn't eat the same thing this morning, and we're not going to eat the same thing for lunch. Did you know that our health is directly linked to what we eat? Some of you might know. Some of you might not. Our weight, our energy levels and mood, and even our life expectancy can all be impacted by what we eat. Today I want to talk about a way of eating that would drastically cut down your risk to many common chronic diseases. Chronic diseases that probably run in your family or that are expected due to the American diet. Veganism, or a plant-based diet, is the key. You'll become healthier with almost no effort and will live a more ethically sound life. When you think of which factor is responsible for more deaths around the world than any other, what comes to your mind? Smoking, high blood pressure. According to balance.org, a poor diet is the leading cause of mortality in the United States. I've actually been vegan for about 9 months now. I started last July 2019. I've lost about 50 pounds, and I have so much more energy than I ever did while eating animal products. Now, no one is perfect. Sometimes I slip up, and I want you to know that that's okay. We're not aiming for the perfect vegan diet here. All that counts is that you're making an effort, you know? Today I want to talk about how our current diets lead to the most common chronic diseases, how eating a vegan diet stops the cycle, and how a vegan diet impacts the world. First, let's dive into how our current eating habits are linked to disease. I'm actually a health major, so I've learned and studied about many of the chronic diseases that plague the U.S. A lot of the main ones that we're worried about is obesity, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and cancer. So these are things that come up in all 4 years of study. According to the CDC, the prevalence of obesity was 42% in 2018. It is a number that is constantly getting larger. The prevalence of severe obesity increased from 4.7% to 9.2% from 2000 to 2018. This is drastic. The estimated annual medical cost of obesity was $1,429 higher than those of normal weight. Obesity-related conditions include the ones mentioned above: heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes, cancer. According to the American Heart Association and the Centers for Disease Control, about 647,000 Americans die from heart disease every year. One person dies every 37 seconds in the U.S., and heart disease costs the United States about $219 billion per year. Also, according to the CDC, 34.2 million U.S. adults have diabetes. 1 in 5 of them don't even know that they have it. Diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death and the number 1 cause of kidney failure and limb amputations. In the last 20 years, the number of adults diagnosed with diabetes has more than doubled. The risk factors for diabetes is being overweight and being physically inactive, less than 3 times a week. The specific risk factors for heart disease is the presence of diabetes, being overweight, and an unhealthy diet, and physical inactivity. The risk factors for obesity, according to the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, which is the NHLBI, is lack of physical activity, unhealthy eating patterns, high amounts of stress, and inconsistent sleep patterns. So you can kind of see the link with all of these diseases and obesity and how you're eating and how much exercise you're doing. The risk factors for all of these chronic diseases are directly linked to diet and exercise. We eat and drink foods with too much fat, sugar, and sodium, and we do not get enough of the healthy foods in our diet that we require to live long, healthy lives. These two factors alone are killing us. So now I want to talk about how you can prevent these diseases or ultimately break the cycle. What can you do to drastically lower your chances of having these chronic diseases and obesity? People can simply say eat healthier and exercise, but what does that even mean? It means lowering your fat intake, lowering your sugar intake, and lowering your sodium intake, while also increasing your intake of healthy foods like vegetables, fruits, and whole grains. The single easiest way to do this is to try a vegan or plant-based diet. A vegan diet is one that cuts out all animal products from your diet. No meat, eggs, or milk. The American Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, I'm nervous, I'm sorry, highlight that vegan diets lead to lower blood pressure and cholesterol, and lower rates of heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and cancer. All the ones we talked about earlier. This is the key to breaking the cycle. If diabetes and obesity run in your family, a vegan diet is proven to counter these diseases. According to medicalnewstoday.com and some other studies that I obviously didn't list here because, animal products including meat, cheese, and butter are the main dietary sources of saturated fats. These saturated fats raise cholesterol and increase the risk for obesity and those chronic diseases that ultimately lead to high mortality rates in the US. People on a vegan diet usually take in fewer calories, which makes it easier to reap the benefits of veganism quickly. A 2015 study by Turner, Davidson, Wingard, Wilcox, and Frongillo showed that vegan diets were more effective for weight loss than omnivorous, semi-vegetarian, and pesco-vegetarian diets, as well as being better for providing macronutrients. So I'm going to dive into that real quick. Omnivorous is eating all types of food. Semi-vegetarian is eating slightly vegetarian sometimes, so you're still consuming milk, and you're still consuming eggs or milk products, dairy products. And you're only vegetarian some of the time, so you still eat meat. And pesco-vegetarian, which is you don't eat meat except for fish. So you're still eating eggs, you're still eating dairy products, and you're eating fish. But you just cut out all other meat. Anyways, the more people that switch to an animal-free diet, the more demand there is for vegan and vegetarian options. Simple supply and demand. Even cutting out animal products from your diet some of the time drastically reduces your risk for chronic diseases and increases the demand for meat-free alternatives in the industry. Lastly, I want to go over the other reasons you should switch to a vegan diet. The animals. Much of the time, this is the main reason for people switching to a vegan or vegetarian diet. Some believe that all sentient creatures have a right to life and freedom. This is actually the thing that made me switch to a vegan diet. I saw an undercover video on how they treated baby cows at a farm. It was, like I said, an undercover operation at Fair Oak Farms, and it was disgusting. The farmers were literally smacking around these innocent creatures. They were stepping on them and using them as stools to get over the fence, and then they were grabbing them by their legs and throwing them into their pens, ultimately killing them. Fair Oak Farms, which is what this undercover investigation was looking into, is one of the leading farms that produces eggs, milk, butter, cream cheese, and sour creams. The people working at this farm just didn't care. Just watching the video, I don't even think I finished the video through. It made me cry. And I thought, how can I be so disgusted and emotional over the treatment of these animals, yet I go to the grocery store and buy milk and eggs for me and my kids, and I'm ultimately supporting these same companies that are disgusting me and making me cry. So I just decided to stop. Avoiding animal products is just one of the ways that you can take a stand against animal cruelty and animal exploitation. PETA estimated that you save about 100 lives per year by not consuming animal products. The environment. Eating a vegan diet stops climate change. We all know climate change, college. According to vegsocial.org, the whole food production process from farm to plate totals 30% of all the global greenhouse gas emissions. So by cutting meat out of your diet, we are reducing carbon and other greenhouse gas emissions. That is a tongue twister. We can save the same amount of emissions as taking a small family car off the road for 6 months by switching to a vegan diet. Still according to vegsocial.org, more agricultural land is used to raise cattle than all other domesticated animals and crops combined. We can save land and water by switching to veganism. It takes much less water to produce plant proteins than it does meat. It is one of those things that you can do to lower your carbon footprint. The benefits of a vegan diet heavily outweigh the cons, and I hope that I have ignited some type of fire in you to make a change for the better. In conclusion, today we discussed the current American diet and its link to disease, how we can stop disease and obesity by switching to a vegan diet, and other reasons why it's a great idea to switch to a vegan diet. I hope I provided you with motivation to change your lives and the lives around you. Even just switching to a meatless meal once a week reaps benefits to your health, the environment, and the animals. Every time we shop, we can make a difference. We can choose to eat healthy and save these animals. Carrie McCarthy said, "It's time to ask ourselves if it is now possible to live a life that involves delicious food and drinks, delivers better health, leaves a smaller carbon footprint, and avoids killing other creatures, then why don't we do it?" So I challenge all of you to try and eat less meat this week. You don't need to become a full vegan. It's a huge change, and I understand that. But just try to eat less. Choose some more vegetarian or vegan options. Do some research on what you can and can't eat. Find some delicious, healthy meals to make for your family, and save some lives in the process. Thank you.